We're recording. Well, I learned that if there is more than one speaker speaking with like a device, there's a huge amount of gaps in the conversation. I've been in conversations with like one speaker using a device, and there's still gaps because you have to give them time to like, key up their sentence, but there's not as many because it's not every time someone is speaking.
Oh, that's true.
I was thinking how hard it would be for people that have like processing or that struggle with processing. To, like they might just get their sentence typed and then like the conversation's moved on. So what they have to say isn't relevant anymore. And I was thinking about in classes, that would be really hard to participate in discussions because you like it takes you so long and then like, you know, the slide's gone or they're onto a different topic and you can't contribute.
Yeah.
They may not be able to type as fast as their thoughts are going, and then once they get it all typed, you know, like Erin just said, you know, that topic is already gone.
Yeah.
Especially if you have limited motor skills and typing is doable, it's just not fast. Like one of the things I was going to say on the app was I'm still new to my iPhone. I just got it. I've been a Droid person forever, so I'm just like, oh, tiny little keys, okay. But,
yeah.
I think like as teachers, I guess if you have a kid in your class that uses a device, you would have to make sure either that you like give them questions ahead of time, or that you really just allow a lot of time for responding, because obviously like you want them to be able to participate the best way that they can.
Yeah, or give time, like you want him to participate, maybe give the whole class time to answer so he has ample time to answer just like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that like the app that we used, we were lucky with being able to type out what we wanted to say, like the exact words, even if we fumbled with them a little bit and sometimes it didn't make sense, because like the app that I had downloaded originally, Let Me Talk, it gives you, I think sometimes it's a little quicker because you can like string things together, but you can't always choose how like the sentence structure looks, even though I don't think that app really did well with like taking a breath to like show that you paused or like using any type of grammar, but it allowed you to at least have the sentence structure the way that you want to. I was looking at the other app, and like if you want a drink and you don't just want to say juice or water, you say want a drink and then juice. So it's not like for especially an older kid, a high schooler, even a middle schooler, they don't want to be talking like that. That's not how their peers talk. I think for little kids that's good, but it also doesn't teach them proper English then.
it kind of makes you sound like a caveman. I want to drink juice now. Yeah.
And I think that that's not ideal at all.
And on that app also, if you want to say I at the beginning of your sentence, it always says, like you click on the picture, but it says capital I, like just doesn't say I. So it.
I didn't realize that.
That was really, I was testing it out earlier.
But frustrating if you're a kid that needs to use it. I think that also like as a guy, Nick, you didn't have a guy voice, so I think that's also.
Yeah, and then I started filling around, but it's still like you never know what kind of voice you're gonna get on these apps. Like it could just be one voice.
Yeah,
like, that was annoying.
Yeah,
and then we don't know who's talking.
Yeah,
and that's so we're all, like we said, we're all down looking at our phones, and somebody said something, but we don't know which person was saying it.
Yeah.
because the voice is all the same.
And I know that like apps or like devices that actually cost money, there's more options for like what your voice sounds like. But the kid that I talked about said that like people will just hang up on the phone. Like he'll call and they'll think no one's there because he's trying to type out. He's like, hey, I'm using a device, so please give me extra time. And they hang up on him.
Right.
His voice, like the voice that he has, is like super, 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 super low. And he was like 14 years old. And he sounded like an old man that smoked 5 packs of cigarettes a day.
Oh my God.
And at least it was like a masculine voice, but that's still not like you hear that voice, you don't think high school kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
But the voice didn't portray his personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody like his age.
Yeah. There's so my undergrad was in communicative sciences and disorders. So I've seen like a lot of research, and there's this thing called vocal ID where you like they ask people to volunteer their voice, and you like record all of these like weird sentences. But then what they do is they like splice them together to make like good sentences and like different words. And then they like give that voice to someone that's like similar age or sex as you. So that's cool. And it's cool that like technology is coming out, but I also know that it's expensive to get a voice that's like tailored to who you are.
Right.
Wow. That's really neat though, that they're looking or they're making that available.
Yeah, I think that anyone can do it. You just like sign up and record these words and these sentences. So that's cool that that's like a thing, but it's also not an inexpensive thing. So if the school doesn't have the money to pay for it, or if the family can't, like, then it doesn't matter. I had something else I was going to say and I forget. I thought that the marshmallow activity was frustrating because like you're like used to producing words correctly and then you can't. But I think that it was less frustrating than the app because you could at least produce something right away. So like let people know that you were responding, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think using the app was a lot more frustrating because you were thinking it, but we couldn't type as fast as we were thinking. And then when we answered, someone answered that question before us. So then that thought, we had to erase that thought and think of a different thought just because we just couldn't type as fast as our thoughts were going.
And even so with the marshmallow activity, like you can speak so much faster than what you can type. And even if it's muffled and, you know, I like to go to Walt Disney World, you can still kind of know what I'm saying.
Decipher it. We can decipher by, like we said, like watching your lips.
Yes.
When we were doing the app, we couldn't lip read it all because we were looking at our phone to make sure we were typing correctly and not misspelling. But with the marshmallow activity, we can at least look at each other and kind of decipher, oh, okay, he said Walt Disney World.
And you can also use like hand movements.
Yes.
Sorry, guys. And you can't do that when you're typing away or clicking away at an app. So that was definitely, I think that if I had to choose one of those things to be like all the time, I would choose the marshmallow activity.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think so too.
Yeah. When I was little, I said that I like couldn't say my R's when I was little. And for me, it wasn't super frustrating unless I was like talking about something that was like grilled or a girl and I couldn't like get it out correctly. So I know that like 5-year-old me was frustrated with that. I can't imagine it being on like more letters than an R though.
Yeah.
And everything. And that's the way you had to communicate, was through a device. You couldn't communicate just talking like we are now.
Yeah, that is like crazy to think that that like students have to go through
Mm-hmm.
every day, trying to communicate to their friends and to their teachers and to their caregivers like what they need, and they can't do it efficiently.
Yeah. And I'm sure they get frustrated at times because they can't get the words out fast enough. They can't type fast enough. So, they either stop because they're frustrated, or their caregiver gets frustrated because they're taking too long.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I worked with a first grader last year who halfway through the year got a device that he could use it was an app on the iPad. And the way he still had to learn to use it, but the first couple times he was able to share in like the morning meeting setting, his share without me helping to translate like what he's saying. And it was like the device speaking for him. His whole demeanor changed, and it was amazing to think about, like he's realizing this whole like new world is opening up for him as he's learning to use this device. That was really neat.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I know that some, like when students like can't speak and they finally get a device, it's like awesome. But I would think that it probably still like down the line becomes frustrating because they can't just go back and forth like this with their friends or with their parents.
Yeah.
We are good on time unless anyone else has anything for the good of the cause.
No.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Don't like go far from your computer because I'm gonna stop recording and end the meeting. But just in case that happens again and we have to record again, I'm sorry. I hope it doesn't happen. But I'll email you guys if anything goes wrong. Okay?
Okay. All right.
Sounds good.
Excellent.
All right.
Great meeting.
Bye.
Thank you, Beth.